For our final destination, we're going to visit the Serengeti National Park. When it comes to the African safari, the Serengeti is easily one of the best places in the world to see all of Africa's wildlife in its glory.
Tourism in Africa is full of surprises, but Tanzania's rise has been one of the most remarkable stories in recent years. From the Serengeti Plains to Zanzibar's coastline and Mount Kilimanjaro's icy peak, the country has transformed its global reputation, breaking records and redefining East African tourism. Tanzania's tourism foundations. Tanzania's strength in tourism begins with its natural resources. Approximately 38% of the country's land is officially reserved for conservation, one of the highest proportions anywhere in the world. Within these areas are 17 national parks, 29 game reserves, 40 controlled conservation areas, and several marine parks. This scale of preservation has given Tanzania a unique advantage as international travel increasingly favors nature and sustainability. Among its most iconic attractions is Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest point and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Standing at 5,895 meters above sea level, the dormant volcano has long been considered one of the most accessible high peaks in the world. Each year, about 20,000 climbers attempt its ascent, and the average success rate sits around 65%. Kilimanjaro is part of Kilimanjaro National Park, which has become the country's second most visited park after the Serengeti. The Serengeti National Park itself is legendary, best known for the Great Migration, where millions of wildebeest and zebra cross the plains in search of fresh grazing. In 2018, Serengeti was voted the best African safari park by Safari Bookings after a study of more than 2,500 reviews from visitors and expert authors alike. It remains the single most visited park in Tanzania, with over 330,000 visitors recorded back in 2012, and the numbers have only grown since. The Ngorongoro Conservation Area is another jewel, housing the Ngorongoro Crater, the world's largest intact volcanic caldera. Within its walls live lions, elephants, endangered black rhinoceroses, hippos, and countless herds of antelope and wildebeest. The area also contains Olduvai Gorge, one of the world's most important paleoanthropological sites, where remains of Homo habilis and Paranthropus boisei were discovered. In western Tanzania, Gombe National Park continues to attract visitors interested in the groundbreaking chimpanzee studies launched by Jane Goodall in 1960. Alongside it, Mahale and Katavi National Parks offer wildlife encounters far from the northern safari circuit. The country's biodiversity also extends to plants, with Kitulo National Park dedicated entirely to wildflowers. Meanwhile, the semi-autonomous islands of Zanzibar and Pemba have their own role in tourism. Known for their spice trade history and white sand beaches, the islands generate about 25% of local income from tourism, outpacing agriculture. The Zanzibar Commission for Tourism reported a sharp rise in arrivals between 2015 and 2017, from 162,242 to 376,000 visitors, showing just how fast the islands have become a destination in their own right. Tourism before and after the pandemic. Tourism has long been one of Tanzania's key economic pillars. In 2016, it contributed 17.5% of GDP, while in 2013, it employed over 1.18 million people, or about 11% of the labor force. Financially, the growth was steady. Revenues increased from $1.74 billion in 2004 to $4.48 billion in 2013. By 2016, arrivals reached 1.28 million, more than double the 590,000 recorded in 2005. In 2019, Tanzania hosted 1.5 million tourists, generating $2.6 billion in revenue. That year marked a high point just before the world changed dramatically with the onset of COVID-19. Like almost every other country, Tanzania's tourism sector was heavily affected by the pandemic. In 2020, receipts fell sharply to just $1.06 billion, while international arrivals collapsed to 616,491. This was less than half the number recorded the previous year. In response, the government secured financial assistance. In October 2021, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism received TSH, $90 billion as part of an IMF loan for emergency support. This funding was crucial for stabilizing the sector, protecting jobs, and preparing for a post-pandemic recovery. Recovery and the Royal Tour documentary. Recovery began slowly in 2021, but Tanzania's real turning point came in 2022 with the release of the Royal Tour documentary. Launched by President Samia Suluhu Hassan, the film showcased Tanzania's stunning landscapes, rich culture, and diverse investment opportunities. It wasn't just another travel documentary, it became a new marketing tool that reintroduced the country to the global stage. The documentary highlighted famous sites like the Serengeti, Ngorongoro Crater, Kilimanjaro, and Zanzibar, while also focusing on sustainable tourism practices. According to Dr. Hassan Abbasi, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism, the film became a bridge that reintroduced Harold. By the end of 2022, international arrivals had rebounded to 1.45 million tourists. The following year, 2023, the figure rose again to 1.8 million, according to Tourism Minister Angela Kairuki. Revenue followed the same upward curve, climbing from $2.53 billion in 2022 to $3.37 billion in 2023, an increase of 33.5%. The Royal Tour also inspired investment in hospitality and infrastructure. Luxury safari lodges, new hotels, and improved roads began appearing as confidence returned. The tourism sector not only provided income, but also created thousands of jobs for young people and women in guiding, hospitality, and conservation. Tanzania's record-breaking 2024. By 2024, Tanzania was no longer just recovering, it was booming. Tourist arrivals surpassed all expectations, reaching 5.36 million visitors by the end of the year. This was more than double the 2023 total and broke the government's target of attracting 5 million tourists by 2025, a full year ahead of schedule. Pindi Chana, Minister for Natural Resources and Tourism, confirmed the milestone and credited it to both natural attractions and government strategies. At the same time, revenues increased dramatically. From $1.3 billion in 2021, the sector generated $3.9 billion in 2024, a 200% rise. These achievements lined up with the CCM 2020 to 2025 election manifesto, which had set the goal of 5 million visitors and $6 billion in revenue by 2025. While the revenue target had not yet been reached, the arrival numbers clearly showed Tanzania was on the right track. Recognition and global rankings. During World Tourism Day celebrations at Ngorongoro in September 2024, Dr. Hassan Abbasi presented Tanzania's accomplishments in light of the UN Tourism Report. According to the report, Tanzania was the fastest-growing tourism destination in Africa after the pandemic, recording a 48% increase in international arrivals. This placed it ahead of Ethiopia at 40%, Morocco at 35%, Kenya at 11%, and Tunisia at 9%. Globally, Tanzania entered the list of the world's top 20 fastest-growing tourism nations with an average growth of over 50%, surpassing targets. Ahead of schedule. If 2024 was record-breaking, the start of 2025 proved even more impressive. By April 2025, Tanzania had already surpassed its 5 million visitor target. According to the UN Tourism World Tourism Barometer, the country had recorded 5.3 million visitors by April, with 794,102 tourist arrivals between January and May. This was a 54.3% increase compared to pre-pandemic levels and a 3.7% rise over the same period in 2024. The surge was fueled not only by traditional markets in the United States and Europe, but also by new interest from China and regional neighbors like Kenya and Burundi. This diversification of visitor sources made Tanzania's growth more stable and sustainable. Sustainability and community involvement. Rapid growth brings challenges, and Tanzania has been careful to balance expansion with sustainability. The 2024 World Tourism Day theme, Tourism and Sustainable Transformation, reflected this focus. Dr. Abbasi emphasized that stakeholders, from the private sector to local governments and communities, must collaborate to preserve Tanzania's heritage while continuing to grow tourism.
Discover the breathtaking beauty of Tanzania, where adventure meets culture. From the vast savannas of Serengeti National Park to the pristine beaches of Zanzibar, Tanzania offers many tourist attractions that captivate the soul. Tourism in Tanzania is more than just a journey.
Local communities living near hotspots like the Serengeti and Ngorongoro have benefited from the boom. Jobs in guiding, hotels, and craft markets have brought income, while cultural tourism initiatives have given villages a direct stake in the industry. By involving communities, the government ensures that economic benefits are more evenly distributed, while also preserving traditional lifestyles and practices. Beyond the boom, Tanzania plans to build on its momentum by promoting ecotourism, adventure tourism, and cultural tourism alongside its world-famous safaris. Infrastructure improvements, including better airports and roads, are set to make destinations more accessible. Promotional efforts will continue through films and digital platforms, building on the success of Royal Tour and Amazing Tanzania. Dr. Abbasi has also urged Tanzanians to engage more fully in tourism, aligning with the 1999 National Tourism Policy and the Tourism Act, Chapter 65. These frameworks stress professionalism, community involvement, and innovation. With over 5 million visitors already in 2025, revenues climbing toward the $6 billion target, and recognition as Africa's fastest-growing destination, Tanzania has secured its place on the world tourism map. What's most remarkable is how this growth has been achieved while emphasizing sustainability, cultural preservation, and inclusivity. As Tanzania continues to attract tourists from across the globe, it stands not just as a destination, but as a model for responsible growth. So, what do you think? Would you trek up Kilimanjaro, watch the Great Migration, or explore Stone Town in Zanzibar first? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for more stories from around the world.